Hello and welcome to the Catch a Lift Coaches Corner. I'm CAL Coach and Program Director Melissa, and this week I'm honored to welcome U.S. Army veteran Andy Smith to the show. Andy, welcome to the Coaches Corner.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's an absolute honor to have you today, Andy.
It's an honor to be here, and even better, I'm glad that we're in Wisconsin, right? In my home state that I'm excited about. Get to speak Wisconsinite.
Absolutely.
Right?
Go Badgers.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, Andy, let's get into it. There's a lot of different stuff we want to cover today.
Right? Yeah.
Why don't we start out by you telling us a bit about your life growing up and what would ultimately lead you to the Army?
Oh man, I had a great upbringing. My mom and dad stayed together. They're still together. Went to a great grade school. Went to a great high school. Played football. Played rugby. Had a really good childhood. I had a really good, the way my life was brought up, it was really good. I think about why I joined the Army. All right, so I graduated in 2002. When 9/11 happened, obviously that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people were excited to join up and things like that. That was one thing I always had in my mind, but at the time I was actually supposed to play football for Oshkosh.
Really?
Yeah, so I actually had committed to Oshkosh to play football, but I even think about then, first speed bump I hit, like I wasn't accepted into the school. I had taken my ACTs and I got a 16 twice, right? So I needed an 18 and I just quit, like instead of trying to take it again. And even I think about preparing for those two tests before that, like I was not prepared to the point of like, I don't think I took them seriously, right? I didn't drink. I didn't do any drugs in high school, right? Sports were a huge thing for me. I was always playing football. I was always playing rugby. Those were two things that I wasn't going to get suspended for, right? Those were really important. I dealt with some head injuries in high school, along with I broke my ankle and I broke my knee,
Ooh.
right? So like physically I was pretty beat up when I graduated. And then getting the information that year I wasn't going to be going to Oshkosh, I literally really fell into a deep depression at that time. Like I started using drugs, right? I started using alcohol as a way to just be like, oh, I'm done with shit. You know, I can enjoy, I can party, right? So I wasn't going to college. So my parents and two of my friends, me and two of my friends ended up getting a house on the east side of Milwaukee. We were going to METC. And it was just a way for us to kind of stay in, our parents were trying to help us, you know, push us into a future that was going to be positive, right? Well, the three of us, I mean, we ended up going to spring break that year, right? Went down to Panama City, and things were going okay for us at school. We were going to METC to be an appliance technician, just get a trade, things like that, right? Went down to Panama City Beach and never went back to school. Right, so we got kicked out of METC, and we all had to move back home, like to our, you know what I mean, like,
yeah. And
my parents were like, well, you can stay here for a minute, but like you're either gonna get a job or you got to join the military. And at the time, like, I was with a girl that I really liked, right, someone that I was with in high school, right. She was definitely moving away from me because of just where I wasn't going anywhere, right. The Army was always an influence. Like it was something I always wanted to do. Like I said, I always enjoyed sports. I always enjoyed that stuff. So I remember going to the recruiter's office. I'm like, yeah, I want to join the Army. And they're like, all right. And I think it was like 6 months later, right? I came in as a 19 Delta, which is a scout. I wanted to do recon and things like that. So I did my basic training at Fort Knox in Kentucky. And if anyone became a scout between like 2004 to 2007, they showed you this video of you rolling through doom buggies and all this cool shit. It's not like that. No, we were mechanized, so we were in Bradleys and Humvees, right? So, but either way, like it was a great experience. I did my basic at Fort Knox, but that's basically why I joined the Army. Back to your question, right? Is my life wasn't going anywhere. I had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Literally. And yeah, I mean,
So what was your basic and AIT like for you? So now you're in the Army.
Yeah.
You know, so
dude,
what's
that was a wake up. So, like I said, I was using drugs and alcohol at that time, like, you know, to the point of like it hadn't really become a problem. My parents knew it was a problem. We're like, he can't be fucking living here anymore and shit like that. He's got to get his life together. But it hadn't become a problem where like I was really affecting a lot in my life. So like when I joined the military and I was flown down to Fort Knox for basic training, I swear to God, it was like I woke up at basic training. I'm like, where the fuck am I? Dude. And not only that, I just wasn't prepared. I mean, I think about who I was. I was a young kid. I had my 21st birthday at basic training, right? So I joined when I was 20. And dealing, you know, with just what I was doing with my life and honestly how I had just gotten there. Because this is all my life I was planning on playing football. I was going to play sports. I was going to go to college. I was going to marry, and then, you know, life was going to go on, right? Kind of like what you're taught as a young kid, right?
For sure.
You go to high school, you go to college, you get married,
it's
you
going to
move
have
on.
this very linear projection, your life.
Dude, right?
Yeah.
And mine immediately got derailed right after high school where like, all right, what am I doing, right? And it was crazy. It was waking up at basic training and it was awesome. It was a great experience though.
I think, you know, kind of regardless of the circumstances you come into the military, it's to some degree a culture shock, right? Like it's just gonna be.
It is. You know what? So I got there in February, and you know when you get to reception, I actually was there over MLK weekend, right? So we had a 4-day weekend. I was actually at reception, and we actually got to use the phones, right? And I remember calling my dad. I called my dad. I'm crying. I'm like tearing up. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I can't fucking do this, man. Like, if I don't want to be here. My dad literally goes, man, he's like, too bad you're not coming home. And he hung up. You know what I mean? And it was a good thing. You know what I mean? Where it was like, dude, you got to fucking change your mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're right, I'm here. And the quickest way out of basic training is graduating. Right?
This is true. Yep.
That's the quickest way out of any school, out of any training in the Army is graduating, right? You want to get recycled, you want to go back, like it's going to suck, right? It's going to suck. So like that right there, I remember that day so vividly because I'm in a phone booth, right? And it was cold in Kentucky too. That was the other thing too, is like Kentucky was fucking cold. I was like, why? What the hell? But like I'm sitting there, I'm fucking on the phone with my dad. I'm trying to hold back these tears because there's 30 guys behind me and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
And he, you know, hangs up, and I'm like, all right, I better fucking do this, right? If I want to get home, I need to fucking get my mind right and fucking start training and really accept that I'm here.
Yeah.
Right? And and like I put myself here.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting, Andy. So talk to us about what would come next now. So you're through basic AIT.
Mm-hmm.
What would the Army look like for you from there?
Oh man. This is where I'm getting excited. Like, honestly, like, I think about, all right, so after basic, I did really well in basic too. Like, so, you know, I got the hometown recruiter thing, and I also had a 300, I also had the 300 PT score, right? So, like, I had a pretty good resume coming out of basic. So, like, the minute I was stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado. The minute I got into my unit, I was stationed at HHC 1-8 Infantry, right? Love my unit, 4th ID. Got there, and they're like, you got a 300 PT score. You're fucking trying out for the sniper platoon. And actually, they just kind of pushed me over there. They're like, scouts have enough Joes. At the time, the sniper platoon really needed Joes. So, dude, it sucked. Like that, holy shit. I think about my first four months at post. First of all, it was me and one other guy who didn't make the platoon. Who were their first 2 Joes, right? And it was just a smoke fest every day where they're just, you know, smoking you. We weren't allowed to talk to anyone else unless they were a sniper, right? Like there's 2 other scouts that I could talk to because they had their Bravo 4s, right? But like the training I got to go through was amazing. Like it really was, to the point of like, I had so much good leadership around me. Like, so when I got to, like I said, 1-8 Infantry, and I got to the sniper platoon, it was me and one other Joe, and then they brought 2 other scouts with them too, who they ended up getting kicked out. They ended up going back to the scout platoon too. Like, Eventually, the snipers got the privates they needed and things like that. But like, we had to go through what was called sniper evals and things like that. So it was just a whole shit ton of training and stuff like that. And I had to go through it 3 times because like they kept kicking Joes out, right? And I was the only one to make it through. Finally, we got dudes from the line company and stuff like that, and it was awesome. But again, like in that platoon, right? We had NCOs from 101st, 82nd. We had 3 core dudes that were from 4th ID, so they had already done deployment with the unit, right? We had a dude from 25th ID. He was Lurch D out of Hawaii. We had a dude from 10th Mountain. We had a dude from Ranger Bat. So like all these NCOs, dude, and it happened all the time on such a intimate level to the point of like they taught me one-on-one, right? There wasn't like a big, we had our, you know, group classes, you know what I mean? Reading our 23-10s, going through how to, you know, range estimate, things that like, you know, classroom stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like when we got out to the ranges, when we went out and did training, so many of the dudes took me over and been like, all right, like how do you set up an ambush, right? All right, well, how are you gonna patrol, right? What type of gear do you want to use, right? Like small tricks of the trade that all those dudes learned, and all these dudes had a combat deployment before me, right? All these NCOs had a combat deployment before me, where like they knew what to expect and they knew what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
Right. So like they really were able to, express that knowledge, right? And it was so my first, like I said, after the sniper platoon got enough Joes, right, for the NCOs, and we only ended up with, it was me, our medic, 6 other Joes, 7, right? 7 other Joes with our medic, right? And the medic went out on every mission, man. He was something else, man. Like he really did. He had to fucking go to a whole nother level. But like, yeah. So first tour, in my team, I was behind the gun in my first tour, and then my team leader was the spotter, and we had an RTO, and like I said, and yeah, it was pretty special. It was amazing. It was awesome.
Let's talk about that first tour in Iraq in 06, Andy. Tell us about that time.
So I was in Balad. I was in Balad, Iraq. Mosul was the second. Balad was totally different from my coming second. But like the first tour was really rural, right? Like we actually got to wear our ghillie suits, right? We actually got to get behind the gun. We actually plotted sniper missions just depending on where IEDs were hit, where we had intel, right? A couple times like we did overwatches, like for boating, right? A lot of incidents happened at boating and stuff like that. So it was cool. It was very classic missions of snipers at that time. Like that first tour was all classic sniper missions. I remember it was real difficult for me. I remember halfway through that tour, we had to change sniper optics. We got away from just our regular optics. We put a night vision on it, and it made my rifle really heavy. And like, I remember that change. I don't know why I thought of that, but like, again, like just the sniper missions we got to run that first tour were really traditional, right? Overwatch, report and collect battlefield information. Primary mission of a sniper is to, put, man, I totally got nervous thinking about that. But primary mission of a sniper is to deliver precision rifle fire on key targets, select targets, and targets opportunity. Second primary mission of a sniper is to report and collect and report battlefield information. So like that first tour, we really were doing those two missions, right? All the time. We were always either having a target packet or just going out and looking for select targets or targets opportunity, or for the most part, just reporting, information to convoys. Like, hey, it's been clear, you know what I mean? Like sending up where we are so the convoys, don't shoot at us, right? Because a lot of times those convoys just see a heat signature on those hills and they're like, oh, we'll fucking light them up, right? And so that was basically my first tour in Iraq.
What was your living conditions like in that first tour, Andy?
It was definitely tougher right? But it was better to the point. So our whole sniper team, our whole platoon had this old school, which was bombed out. Our engineers put some bathrooms in it and put some showers in it. So that whole first tour, the whole platoon was in one house. Wow. It was really cool.
That's incredible.
So we were, FOB Merez was the name of the FOB. We were on so a FOB is a forward operating base. It's a little bit smaller than, bases like Anaconda. I think about, what's the next one? It's FOB and something else. I know there's a forward operating base. I know there's something smaller, like a little bit bigger. But either way, we were on FOB Merez, and like I said, it was just our battalion, right? We had the sniper platoon, scout platoon, the mortars, and that was it. That was all that was on that forward operating base. Oh, we had commo. Headquarters platoon was there, and then our line companies were always out in smaller forward operating bases where we got to be attached to them. Yeah.
Very cool. Andy, would you talk to us a little bit about the dynamics of a sniper platoon or team? Like, what is a sniper team? What does that consist of? What did the platoon really make up? Okay,
so like I said, like thinking about the traditional platoon that we had our first deployment, we had an LT who was awesome. Our first LT, he was a butter bar, so that's a second lieutenant. So that's kind of like, he did a great job because he listened to all those NCOs that we had around, right? So we had a lieutenant, a platoon sergeant, and then we had 4 teams. There was a team leader, right? And he was the spotter. He was the guy who was in charge of everything. He sometimes carried the radio, like when we moved out in 2-man teams, but for the most part, we had an RTO with us, and we had a medic. So, like, again, traditionally, it was just the spotter and the shooter that moved out. But as we got to Iraq and as things happened and as things progressed, like, it turned into what we called small kill teams. So, like, we would move out, we'd have a spotter and shooter, they'd be a team, and then there would be another team, spotter and shooter. Then we'd also have like a SAW with us, like a 249 or a 240 Bravo, where the idea was when we were running into people, like digging holes, like planting IEDs, there was a lot more people than just one person, right? Or there was a vehicle, a lot of vehicles, right? So what we did was in the small kill teams, was we'd take a shot with the sniper rifle, and what we used was either an M24 bolt-action rifle. It was like a modified Remington 700, or the Barrett 107, which was the Barrett 50 cal, right? And that was a sweet fucking rifle. I didn't like shooting it that much because the concussion was that bad on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a sweet fucking rifle, though, because one, it was magazine fed, so it was semi-automatic. It wasn't bolt-action. It was a big bullet you could put down range, and it really took out vehicles very well.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
So that was the idea, the concept behind the small kill team, especially, like you said, running into people, like there's multiple targets, there's vehicles. So as a sniper, you take a shot to take out whatever target your spotter told you to take, and then the rest of the dudes with you would open up, like after you took that first shot. So like they would open with the 249 or the SAW, or excuse me, that's the same thing, but like the 240 Bravo, and yeah, I mean, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so.
What stands out to you the most, kind of looking back now, Andy, at that first deployment? What stands out the most to you?
Oh, man. Well, the biggest thing was easily the biggest firefight I was in, was that deployment.
Was it?
Yeah. And again, like looking back on that, so we were attached to Alpha Company, and we were doing something called Peninsula Strike, right? So again, there were a whole bunch of, I mean, I don't know how terrorists, people that we were fighting, right, were in this peninsula, right? And we were going to go there and show force, right?
Yeah.
And we roll in there that night, and we were attached to Alpha Company. So the idea was Alpha Company was going to do all these raids, and then we were going to overwatch them, right? We had 2 sniper teams with us. It was my team, and then, well, not my team, it was my NCO's team, and then another team, right? And like I said, the way we infilled was we'd just do a patrol with the line company, and then we'd go into a house or something like that. And we'd stay in the house as they leave and continue to patrol and do raids and things like that, search and siege, stuff like that. And I remember we were starting the mission. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was fucking pissed. It was fucking early. I was tired. I was just irritated. And I remember I had my nods. And these are the old ones, the PVS 7s, you know, where like they only got one lens, but they're here and they're fucking heavy and they're horrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible. And I remember I had them down and they were digging into my forehead and stuff like that. And I just popped them up and my team leader in front of me is like, Smith, put your fucking nods down. I'm like, fuck. And like it pissed me off like that. One, I felt like I let him down, but also like I just didn't want to fucking wear them. Literally right when that happened, an RPG was fired and like literally blew up in front of me. And I thought it had killed my team leader in front of me. It had blown him back into a corner. He had got peppered a little bit. He swallowed his dip. And honestly, one thing that really stands out in that moment, first of all, another RPG had hit across the street and hit two of my friends, right? They're alive. I mean, one guy lost his eye, one guy's took shrapnel to his leg. Yeah, I think about that, and like I remember when that RPG hit, and literally, like I still can't believe to this day, like how I didn't get, I don't know, touched by anything.
Right.
Like it's a really surreal feeling, and it's a really, I don't know, blessing feeling. Like when I can look at it now, to the point of like going through that, right? And not only that was my team leader in front of me, the way he got blown back into the corner and things like that, the fact that he's not dead, I swear to God, that thing, man, I still can't get over it. Like he just disappeared, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and literally, I remember when that happened, right? And this is the first time I was taking contact. You were walking at the low ready. Luckily, I had another NCO who he was from the 82nd, right? So I got a Rangerback guy in front of me, I'm in the middle, and then a dude from 82nd behind me. So like I felt pretty secure, right? But anyway, like after that happened, he came running up to me because there was this moment of like, you know, like not like it's not like you're frozen, but like it's like your brain takes a minute to fucking, not even a minute, just like a quick second. But like that was, again, I think about the leadership I had, but like he kind of came up behind me and was like, dude, where's Sergeant Stewart? Or where's Stewie? Like, I'm like, dude, he's over here. But like, that's what I like literally after he came up and like just kind of gave me that tap on the shoulder. Like, let's fucking start moving. Let's start talking guns. Let's start fucking figuring out what happened, right? We need to take the fight to them type shit. Oh man, it's amazing feeling, right? Like, and like, it's an awesome, special feeling to the point of like, man, like I got to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I like, oh man, it's a weird thing to reflect on. Like, to the point of like how much, I don't want to say enjoy it. Like, it's not an enjoyment. Like, it's such a scary feeling. Like, and again, I think about that minute, like that second, that just like that explosion happened. It was scary. I mean, that's just fucking scary. But like, when you can fucking turn it around and be like, fuck this. We're fucking bringing the fight to them. We're going to fucking take care of this shit. We're going to take care of our wounded. We're going to fucking move forward, right? Like, that's the stuff that, like, man, like, that got addictive, right?
Yeah.
And, like, everyone's doing it around you, too. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was probably, again, I forgot what the question even was, but, like, I mean, thinking about that was definitely the most, I mean, I grew a lot in that moment as a soldier. Right? I felt like that. I do feel like I can look back on that moment and feel like I became a better person, a better soldier definitely after it. Yeah. Right? And
So Andy, you would come back home, back to Colorado,
Yep.
to your unit, and it would be a fairly quick turnaround before your next deployment, but at the same time, a lot of life would also happen to you during that time. Andy talked to us about the time period between your two deployments.
So, man, it was a lot to take in, right? I mean, and remember, like I came back from Iraq, honestly, like I hate sounding cocky, but I was pretty hot shit. I was an E4. I was going to be promotable, right? I had really proven, I felt like proven myself as a soldier, right? Like to my NCOs, to my higher chain of command, right? And I came home and immediately felt like I lost that discipline, right? That discipline, right? The fact that like I'm home, I'm going to go and get fucked up. I'm going to go out and drink. I'm going to have fucking fun, right? Well, that happened and it was a ton of fun. But in that period, I actually eventually met my ex-wife, right? We started dating. I eventually stopped hanging out with like my core guys, right? Started hanging out with some different people. I eventually, so like I met her. We had been home for about 2 months. We were about to go on, leave, right? So sure enough, me and her go out. We do some cocaine, right? I don't think I'm going to get popped for a drug test, right? I got like 3 days at work and then I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, right? And we already had a drug test like that Monday or something like that. So mentally I'm like, there's no way.
We're good.
No way. Sure enough, I come in on fucking Friday. There's a 10%, right? My name gets called and dude, I fail for cocaine, right? And this is the day of ACUs where they had their fucking, the
Velcro.
Your Velcro.
Yes,
and that was
rank.
Dude, that was fucking tough, man. You had to stand up in front of formation and they're like, hey, this fucking dude put himself above everyone else, right? Fucking rip that shit off.
Oh.
Like,
man.
It was tough, man. It was tough. And like,
sure.
I think about, and then, so you got to do, this is a field grade. So I got a field grade. So it was 45 and 45. So you got to stay on post for 45 days. You can't leave post. And you got to do extra duty for 45 days.
Okay.
Which means after work, you just fucking continue to work.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They also take your money away for 2 months. And like on my part, they took all my rank. Right. Okay. I was about to go to the E5 board, and I'm now down to nothing. Right. While I'm on extra duty, another change happened in the sniper platoon too. We got a new lieutenant. We actually got a first lieutenant. This dude was hardcore, man. Loved to train, but like he also wasn't taking any bullshit. So I failed a drug test. Immediately, he's like, you're getting kicked out. Yeah. Like, you're not going to be in the specialty platoon. You're going to get sent to headquarters or fucking, if you're lucky, you're going to stay in, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I appealed that to my chain of command. Like, hey, I told him, I'm like, I fucked up. Like, I just told him the situation. I was with a girl, like, just young and stupid. And So I actually had to do this appeal, and like, I don't want to say too many names, but like, he did become Sergeant Major of the Army, right? So Sergeant Major Daly was actually my battalion Sergeant Major, right? So I remember having to stand in front of him and literally telling him why I did cocaine and why I failed a drug test and why I put myself above the platoon and like all this shit. And it was so humbling, man. It was.
It had to have been. It
was tough. Like, but also like I remember it like motivating me, right? Like I knew I had fucked up, and like I knew like I could do better. And I remember, so after you talked to the sergeant major and the colonel that I was talking to, I had to leave. They brought my NCOs in, and I think about how much my NCOs stuck up for me. Like the LT did not. He even told me, he's like, I didn't stick up for you.
Yeah.
He's like, he actually came out. He's like, I can't believe this shit. So his decision. Like I said, I had my NCO step up for me, and like I do believe since, like I don't know, like I said, there were some things that I felt like I proved to myself, like other people, like especially during that first deployment, that like I can be a good soldier. I just fucked up.
Right.
So I remember my LT comes out. He looks at me. He's like, I can't believe this. 1, you get to stay in the platoon. 2, they gave me PFC rank, so they gave me 3 ranks back. Right. Like that was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And they gave me my money back, which was even better, right? I still had to do the extra duty. I was still restricted to post. I still had a tainted name, to the point of like, in the military, when someone fucks up, you usually get labeled as a pretty good shitbag.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty easy to
100%.
take that on, and like, I do think about, again, like the leadership that I had, right?
So I just want to interject something really quick there, Andy, because I mean, you hit this, right? And I think anybody that was in the military listening can feel this. Like, right, when you fuck up, you are labeled that dirtbag, right? You become, that guy or that woman. And so I think, at least in my experience from seeing things, one of two things can happen. You can either take that on and be like, yeah, well, I'm this dirtbag, and just continue to sandbag the rest of your contract, or you're like, heck no, this isn't me. Like, I can do better than this, and you really dig your heels in.
Dude, totally. And I do think, and you're right, like I even see the guys that I was on extra duty with that was getting chaptered out and shit like that. And there's another sergeant major that was in charge of like extra duty and some other things that literally brought me aside and was like, dude, Smith, you're not like these.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be a fucking quitter. It's real easy to do that shit. But like, you got an opportunity here. Fucking change your fucking attitude, right? And that was what it was. It was a change of attitude. And like, again, that humbling feeling of like, man, maybe I do got to watch it, right? And like, and also to the point of like, I think about just as a young man, like I even think about that time in between deployments, right? I knew I was going back. I wanted to fit everything I could in to that fucking 10 months home, that fucking 11 months home.
Yep.
And it was usually just drinking, usually drinking.
Yeah.
Usually drinking, like I said, women. Like, that was usually the two things that were really all on your mind, is women and drinking. And then, I think about when it came to my drug use, like, at that time, like I said, it was just that one instant when I failed, right? But, like, I was using it because, like, I wanted to feel like I was, like, in Iraq, right? I wanted that adrenaline. I wanted that pump. And same with drinking. When we went out drinking with our friends and stuff like that, like, other dudes in our platoon and stuff like that, like, it was just, I don't know, it was fun. It was adrenaline, but like, yeah. So
you would get that next adrenaline pop pretty quick and head back to Iraq again for your second time, around the 2007 time frame. Andy, talk to us about that second tour to Iraq.
Second tour was, again, like really different from the first, to the point of our mission just completely changed. So again, remember I had just failed a drug test, not just, it had been a couple months, but like I had finally gained my rank back. I actually got my specialist back, and then the next day they promoted me corporal. They weren't going to send me to the board for a little bit, but they wanted me as a leader. So that I really took that as like something that they trusted me with, right? Like at least corporal is a shitty rank, because you're getting the same as a specialist. You're just fucking. You got all the responsibilities. Dude, man, I pulled CQ so many times before we left, but like that's something I knew I had to do, right? Like to kind of step up and fill up for those higher NCOs and shit like that, right? But like, so our second tour, we were in Mosul, and they didn't really know what to do with our sniper team, because at this time, remember, this is 2007. At this time, dude, there had been some sniper teams killed that were in two-man teams. There had been some small kill teams that had gotten in situations, right? Like it was difficult, especially for small units, to work in cities like that, right? One, you're seeing, like, it's really hard not to get compromised. So it was just, we were in Mosul. They really didn't know what to do with the sniper platoon. We were actually attached to the scouts at that time. And we ended up moving up to Mosul. And as we were waiting there, we were just running left seat, right seat rides, right? One of the missions that came down was SIG ambushes. So the SIG ambushes are basically tracking cell phones, right? It was actually thrown down to Bravo Company at first. Literally the first week Bravo Company is there, again, they got hit with catastrophic ID. So like all those dudes in that Humvee were either wounded or killed, right? So like Bravo Company immediately came back and went, listen, we're shorthanded now. We fucking can't run this mission the way you need it, right? So they threw it over to the snipers and the scouts. And what we did was, and this is crazy, I think about this, is this 2007 to 2009. We were tracking cell phones. I think about what they can do now, right? Dude.
Right?
Dude, it was pretty cool. So we had a group of Navy dudes with us, and they were in the back of our MRAPs, and they had, it looked like an iPod. At the time it wasn't, or an iPad, and a computer. And literally we'd set up, say like 200 meters down the road from each other in blocking positions, right, with the vehicles, right? The minute a car or a person came through that lit up their fucking laptop or iPad, Fucking we yell block, we block, we fucking get out, we dismount, we get the guy with the cell phone, or like, I mean, we'd really round up any military age male, right? And kind of, I mean, go down, you know, do a search and seizure type of thing, you know, search them, stuff like that. And then eventually, dude, the Navy dudes were able to be like, yeah, that's his phone. This is the guy. Right? Dude, it was like, yeah, that's him.
Good
like,
grief,
and
yeah.
even at the time, remember, these are SIM cards, so they would swallow them a lot too. Like, eventually when they got onto like what we were doing, so like, it was funny, like, I mean, so, like, yeah, man, like, it was crazy, like, how, like, close they could get to this dude, right? Like, how close, and we pulled in a lot of HVTs, which are high-value targets. We did a lot. I felt like we cleaned up Missoula. Like, I really feel like that Scout Sniper Platoon in 2007 to 2009, man, fucking took care of shit there. I mean, not only that, like I said, we weren't just doing the blocking thing either, though. Like, we'd do that, and a lot of times we'd catch a dude, right? And he'd give intel on, like, where this dude is at this house. So we'd do a night raid on him. I mean, again, the difference between the two tours is, like, that first tour, like, we were literally laying in a field in a ghillie suit for fucking 48 hours, still as fuck. Right? I mean, just waiting to fucking something happen. And usually a goat or some fuck shit would fucking walk over you and be like, ah, fuck.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was crazy. Where the second tour, it was all dismounted. We were all doing raids. I didn't even pull out my M20, the long rifle, right? I didn't even pull out the long rifles that second tour because we just weren't running those. Like, mission changed, right? And I'm so proud and happy that I got to do that, right? And I think about, like, again, the experience and the knowledge I got from that first platoon, right? The dudes from Lurch D, right? The guys from 82nd, the guys from 101st, the guys from 10th Mountain. These dudes who were fucking straight infantry, right? They taught me the eight infantry battle skills, right? These are things that you need to learn and they're gonna work, right? And like, it did, right?
Yeah.
And even like, I think about, again, what was cool about the leadership that I even had in the second tour was, like, I was a part of it, right? Because I became a E5 then overseas.
Okay.
Right? I became an E5. And I got to be a part of, like, I don't know, be a part of that leadership, right? Like, and there's such a good feeling. It's such a good feeling. Like, I don't know, being a part of that, man. Like, oh man, I got this awesome video of, it was my birthday. It was my birthday, and my wife at the time, her family was great. Honestly, her family was amazing to me. Like, again, one thing that I feel like I really screwed up to the point was, like, how much I appreciated how much her family did for me, right? Her mom, for my birthday, sent my friends, all my friends, dude, fucking, like, packages for me, right? So they could fucking put this birthday party on for me on my right?
Gosh.
Dude, it was like
In Iraq.
Yeah, we were in Missoula.
Gosh, that's incredible.
And honestly, dude, like, I remember walking into, like, we had this little, like, wooden CP, like, where we did mission briefs and stuff like that. And I got called in, and, like, dude, all my buddies fucking tackle me. You know what I mean? Fucking give me a pin. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're beating the shit out of me, but, like, in a good way, man.
Yeah.
Like, and that right there, man, like, just what you had, like, I mean, it's such a special thing. Like, it's something that you won't find anyone else. Like, unless you serve, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just won't find that. And that's, again, like, we'll get to that part about that emptiness, losing that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think about how hard it was for me just to lose some guys that I did my first tour with, right? Like, just not like, it was like you came home and it's like, again, we lived in the same fucking house, right? We had fucking 15 dudes in one house. We're literally, like, I mean, there was one small one common area that we got to share, and then, like, rooms all off of it, right? So we were always seeing each other. We were always together. We were always, like, dude, it was, it really is. And, like, and then to go through combat, right? To go through a firefight, or to go through an IED, right? Or to go through, like, again, like, I think I hadn't thought about that for a while, but, like, the talking that a spotter does, like, when you're behind a gun, right? This is some, like, things that I'm so happy that I got to do, right? But like at that time as a young man, like they became a burden, like especially when I came home. Like I think about that, like I didn't know how to express how I was feeling. Like I said, I had an awesome upbringing.
Right.
I was always very happy. I was always very thankful, dude. Like my parents were awesome. My brothers and sisters were awesome, dude. I had great friends. I had no reason to be angry, but like getting in that mindset, and especially, dude, this was so important that those NCOs taught me. It was like, you got to change your mindset when you go over there, right? The shit's going to be fucking different. Get your mind. And I remember them fucking literally almost getting mad at like, dude, this is not a fucking joke, right?
Yeah.
This is serious. Yeah. And that's actually why, like I said, I had to go through 3 sniper evals before I got into the platoon, because they were like, I had to go through the evals as Joes were going through the evals, right?
Okay.
So I was making it through the evals, but they had to bring more guys in, right? And I remember that made me feel really good, but also to the point of like, it's driven into me about what I needed to do and like the mindset you need to be in, right? Like, dude, this isn't a joke. This is real life.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't even think that really hit me until like I took contact, right? I even think about some things where like you see vehicles get hit and it's fucking weird. Where like, how the fuck, where did that dude go? Like, it was like a little powder, like, dude, this fucking cloud of smoke ate that guy.
Right.
Like fucking, like that's, and like, it's just, it's so hard, especially like, I think about like, again, the age as a young person and like not thinking about the future, right? And things like that. But like, yeah.
It's a lot of life to live at a very young age.
It is, but like, again, like, thank God, like I can look at it now,
yeah.
right? And this is where I'm thankful where I'm at today, is that I can actually look at those experiences and be like, yeah, that made me fucking stronger.
Yeah.
Dude, dude, seriously, and this is what I really want to, man, that is when you can actually accept what you needed to do over there and accept what happened. There is such an empowering feeling that why you got through it, right? Like why we're still here, man. Like there are, yeah, it is. It's a really cool thing. And that's where like, it's such a special fraternity of people, right?
Yeah,
and that's,
absolutely.
And I mean, especially when, like I said, like our platoons were not that big. Like we worked in 3-4 man teams. I mean, it was like, dude, we knew everything about each other,
yeah.
right? And then like literally it was like you got home and it was like that shit dispersed. I mean, dudes got out, guys came down on orders, and it was,
it's scatter when we get back, right? And you know, it might look a little different if a person's active duty or National Guard Reserve, but the end result is the same, right? People are going a million different directions, and it's devastating,
dude. And you know what? One thing again, like, man, I think about, it is. It's so devastating. And I have a newfound, like, again, this is from going to the VA and going through groups, but especially what National Guardsmen had to deal with, right? Like, dude, this was my job, right? This is my job. This is what I trained for. This is what I'm continuing to go and train for. Dude, these National Guardsmen, they got shit kicked out of them. Shit kicked out of them there for a year and then went back home to a fucking job.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking hard, man. Like, honestly, like, at least, I don't know, like I said, man, like, man.
So let's look at your coming home from that now. So by this time, you've done the 2 Iraq tours. You know, you've gotten your rank back. You know, you've been promoted to a sergeant by this time. Talk to us about kind of the remaining time in your Army career, and then let's get into that kind of transition out.
So, again, like, my transition out, so I was med boarded for PTSD and TBI, right? And what was awesome, I think about, again, my NCOs and my leadership was immediately when I came back, my NCOs really did take care of me, right? Honestly, and like I said, I was an NCO myself, right? Like, it was like these guys, like, I was really, like, not like handed help, but like offered help, right? And like I took it, like, you know what I mean, to the point of like, again, we kind of like, you don't know what to do with yourself, but like,
right.
I knew I needed something, right? So like I like about a year after I was home, it wasn't even a year, it was like 6 months. I was transferred to WTU, which is Warrior Transition Unit. Honestly, I had a really great exit out of the military to the point of like my percentage was taken care of. They med boarded me, right? They got me set up for school, right? The only problem I think getting out of the military, and especially my end, was the amount of medication I was on.
Okay.
Right? So when I got out of the military, like, and I had some bangs and fucking sciatic nerves, fucking slip discs, right? I think anyone who's done a combat tour understands a combat load probably has a slip fucking disc.
Yeah.
Dude, I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Like, if anyone has fucking done a patrol, like, dude, you understand the weight of a fucking rucksack, or jumping around, you know what I mean? Or moving. I think about how many times I fell, like, in contact, because, like, dude, you're fucking tripping over shit. You're unweighted. Like, it's, like, dude, like, I had a buddy fall off a fucking roof. Like, not like, and landed. You know what I'm saying? Like, landed on his back. You know what I'm saying? To the point where, like, his discs have got to be like, I don't know.
Right.
Either way, like, I was beat up, right? I had surgery on my elbow, on my left wrist. Like, this arm got messed up. Dude, like, I literally, the VA had me on a ton of Xanax and antidepressants, right? And those were horrible. Like, so I was at my highest on the Xanax. I'd get 210 a month, right? That's 7 a day, right? Then on top of that, I was going to, because of my percentage, I was able to see outside help, right?
Okay.
So, like, the Colorado Springs VA is smaller. It's not as cool as we have here where we have campuses. It was, one clinic was mental health, one clinic was x-ray, you know, it was all scattered around the city, right? So I went to one clinic just for pain, right? And they referred me out to another doctor that was just a local dude, right? And literally, by the time I was done seeing him, I was on 80 milligram Oxycontin, all right? So that's 3 of those a day. 270 30 milligram Percocets, or 3 of those a day, and then 9 of those a day. So, like, and he gave me the Percocet 30s because he called them breakthrough pain.
Okay.
Right? So the Oxycontin I was supposed to take every day, and then use the Percocet 30s for breakthrough pain.
Okay.
And then I was getting Xanax on top of it. Like, so, like, now in this period of getting out of the Army, being on this medication, and also on top of that, when I came home a fucking psycho. I really did. Again, I can think about being married at the time, and regardless of things that happened between me and her, like, while I was gone and things like that, I came home an absolute nutball. I mean, not only that, like, I became even crazier whenever I drink, right? Whenever I drink, like, be punching holes in the wall, fucking knocking doors down, right? Scary shit. In fact, the first time I was at an inpatient program, I don't want to give her too much credit, but, like, it was right when I got home, and this actually kind of started my med board when I think about it. This was I was still in the Army, and, like, when my NCOs really, like, grabbed me and were like, dude, we got your back.
Okay.
Right? So I just gotten home. Me and my wife were living together. Things were obviously stressful because I'd be gone for 15 months. We had gotten married for like 4 months before that, where I had also gone through extra duty, right? All this rank shit, right? Yep. All that stuff. We bought a house, right? So there's a lot of, like, you know, I'm trying to get stability, right?
It's a ton.
And I was really looking for that stability, right? I wanted, and looking back at it, I really wanted someone there when I got home. Like, that was tough. Like, coming home and, like, my family's always been there and things like that, but, like, having someone there, like, it was something that was important to me when I got back the second time, right? That I wanted. So, like, getting married and having that house and having that family, right, was in my idea of, like, being stable, right? And it just made me more fucking nuts because I was too young and, like, I was too irresponsible and I didn't know who I was, and I was going back to Iraq, right? Like, so I came home, literally a psycho, like, again, and it was from these raids, man. Like, it was awesome. Like, one of the reasons I worked out so much in Iraq, especially, was when I went on these raids, I wanted to be able to take someone and fucking do whatever or what I wanted, right? You know what I mean? No matter how I grab you, I'm in control.
Right.
Dude, fucking, I'm going to put you over here, you're going over there. Like, fucking, like, you're going to lock this fucking door, I'll fucking blow it off the fucking hinges and come in fucking like a mad dog, right? Like, like, again, it's so fucking tough looking at that shit. Like, and like how awesome, like, again, like those situations just became so addictive, right? To the point of like, I wasn't doing it alone either, right? Like I had, dude, again, like our second tour, man, these raids, man, I mean, we got jacked up for them. Yeah. I mean, like we got jacked, dude, camoed out, fucking face paint. And this was even before like the Joker got big. I had a really good, cool scout team leader who was in charge of our raid team. So like we did basically 2 SIG and ambush teams, like a second tour where they go out, next day we go out, vice versa, right? And dude, he'd always do the Joker face. Like, dude, scary fucking shit, man. I couldn't imagine living and having a fucking platoon of these fucking psychos breaking my house, right? I wouldn't want to be fucking setting IEDs either,
no.
right? I wouldn't want to be fucking...
That's a pretty good deterrent.
You do, totally. And that was the other thing too, is like we were getting results from the acting like that, right? And it just didn't work out at home, right? When you come home and that shit's got to shut off, and it doesn't.
See, but that's it exactly what you're saying, right? So this is this environment, and you perform a certain way to get a certain result, and it was effective.
Dude.
And you go home, there's no buffer time where they deprogram that out of you. Okay, you're going back home now, with civilians and to a home life and a family, and like this doesn't fly here. There's no like automatic off switch for that. So how does a person navigate that? How were you navigating it, Andy?
Dude, at that time, I was navigating it by using, right? I mean, I was dude, like, I think about that, like, so I got home in 2011 for my second tour, and like it's 2022, and I just feel like I'm getting those physical reactions controlled. Here's the other thing too, is like you were just talking about those adrenaline like things, right? Like I call them almost adrenaline dumps, to the point of like, man, like your body reacts to those feelings. Like you're sweaty, your fucking heart start jacking up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And those are the reactions that like happen to your body without you knowing sometimes, right? Situations just cause your body to do that, and all of a sudden you're jacked up, and without, I don't know, practice of like controlling your breathing, fucking having a clear mind to the point of like when you get jacked up that anxious and worked up, and you're using or you're drinking, dude, that caused a lot of fights. It caused a lot of mistakes that I made, right? So, yeah.
That's it for this week's episode of Coach's Corner. Please tune in next week, Wednesday at 1 Eastern, live on YouTube, to hear part 2 of Andy's incredible story, where he discusses his journey to 1,000 plus days sober. Thank you, Andy, for sharing with us today. Thank you for sharing your light with us all. Thank you to ID Technologies for your support of this podcast. Thank you to Lynn Coughlin, Henry Pomper, and Kaylee Nassiri for all of the work you do to make this podcast possible week after week. And we thank the entire Catch a Lift team. Don't forget to join us every Wednesday live at 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube for a chance to win Cal Swag and a chat with your brothers and sisters. Until next week, keep it real and stay Cal strong.